Have you ever wondered why some people in their 80s seem to move with ease and energy, while others struggle with simple daily tasks? It's a quiet truth many of us hesitate to admit. Aging isn't just about getting older, it's about what we lose along the way. I've been there myself, feeling those subtle changes that sneak up and make everyday things harder than they should be. I remember the frustration of not being able to stand up from a chair without using my hands, or getting winded just walking across the room. It felt like my body was quietly giving up on me. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. There are simple, gentle ways to regain strength and independence, without harsh workouts or drastic lifestyle changes. In fact, by focusing on a few key abilities, things most 80-year-olds struggle with, you can turn back the clock on aging in ways you never imagined. In this video, I'll share 8 powerful signs that you're aging backwards and how to protect and rebuild these strengths starting today. These aren't miracles, just real, achievable steps that can add years of vitality and joy to your life. So, tell me, which of these abilities do you still have? Or which would you love to get back? Remember, you deserve to live your best life, strong, independent, and full of hope. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Stand up from a chair without using your hands. There's something quietly profound about the act of standing up from a chair. Most of us never give it a second thought, at least, not when we're younger. You simply plant your feet, lean forward, and push off with your legs. It's a movement as natural as breathing. But somewhere along the way, sometimes almost without noticing, a tiny change creeps in. You might find yourself pressing your palms against the armrests or bracing your hands on your knees, just for a little extra help. No big deal, you think. It's only for balance, or maybe because the seat's a little low today. But what starts as a minor adjustment can become the beginning of a new reality. I remember the first time I caught myself doing it. I was at my granddaughter's school play. The auditorium was crowded, the seats were small and close together, and when it was time to stand for the national anthem, I automatically pressed my hands down and pushed myself up. I didn't even realize what I'd done until I looked over and saw my wife stand up without a second thought, graceful and steady, her hands relaxed at her sides. That moment stung, not with jealousy, but with a gentle realization that something in me had changed. After that night, I started to notice the pattern. At home, I would rise from the recliner by gripping the armrests. At church, I'd brace myself on the pew in front of me. Even at the diner, I'd lean forward, hands on the table, and heave myself up. The truth is, I never used to think twice about my legs. They'd always been strong. Decades of gardening, dancing at family weddings, hiking on Sunday afternoons. But now, there was a quiet weakness settling in, a reluctance in my muscles that seemed to whisper, "Be careful." That whisper, I discovered, is how aging often begins. Not in grand, dramatic ways, but in small, silent surrenders. The ability to stand up from a chair without using your hands isn't just about leg strength. It's a symbol of independence, a tiny but powerful act that says, I'm still capable. I'm still in control. For so many older adults, losing this ability is the first sign that life is shifting. It's rarely sudden, it comes quietly, disguised as caution or habit. But soon enough, what started as an occasional push becomes a necessity, and the world shrinks just a little. It doesn't help that others may rush in to assist. My daughter, bless her heart, started offering her hand every time we got up from dinner. At first, I resisted, insisting I was fine. But then I realized how much easier it was with a little support. That's the trap. Accepting help is natural and sometimes necessary, but if we're not careful, we begin to rely on it, and slowly, our bodies learn to forget their strength. But here's the thing, our bodies are astonishingly adaptable, even after 80. Just as we lose strength through disuse, we can regain it with focused, gentle practice. It's not about lifting heavy weights or running marathons. It's about reclaiming those essential movements that keep us connected to our independence. I began with the simplest routine. Each morning, I'd sit in my kitchen chair, cross my arms over my chest, and challenge myself to stand up without using my hands. At first, it was awkward. My legs trembled. There were days when I could only do it once or twice before giving up and reaching for the table. But I kept at it. What surprised me most wasn't just the physical improvement, though that came steadily. Legs growing steadier, confidence returning, but the emotional shift. Each time I stood up unaided, even just for a moment, I felt a wave of accomplishment, a spark of my old self returning. It was a quiet victory, private but deeply meaningful. And over time, these tiny victories piled up, reshaping how I saw myself. I was no longer someone at the mercy of age. I was a participant in my health. Along the way, I met others on the same journey. Margaret, a neighbor from down the street, confessed that she'd stopped going to her knitting group because she was embarrassed to ask for help standing up from the sofa. Together, we made a pact. Every afternoon, we'd practice standing up from our chairs, arms crossed, supporting each other only with our laughter and encouragement. After a few weeks, Margaret was back in her group, rising from the sofa with newfound confidence. If you're reading this and find yourself struggling to rise without help, know that you're not alone, and it's never too late to start. Begin with just one attempt a day. Sit tall, cross your arms, and push up with your legs. It might be shaky at first. You may wobble. But every effort is a step towards strength, and every success, no matter how small, is a reclaiming of independence. Celebrate those moments. Let them remind you that your body, like your spirit, is capable of renewal. Standing up from a chair isn't just about mobility. It's about dignity, hope, and the quiet power of choosing to keep moving forward, no matter what age the calendar says you are. 2. Walk briskly without getting winded. There's a special kind of freedom in walking briskly, feeling your feet move confidently beneath you, the breeze on your cheeks, and the subtle rhythm of your heart keeping pace with your steps. It's something many people take for granted in their younger years. Walking quickly to the store, crossing the street before the light changes, or hurrying up the path to greet an old friend. Yet, as the years go by, a brisk walk can quietly become a challenge, and with that change, a piece of your independence sometimes slips away unnoticed. I can remember when a brisk walk was as natural to me as breathing. Even into my late 70s, I would stride down the sidewalk, waving at neighbors, sometimes breaking into a light jog if the dog was eager for a longer loop. But not long after my 80th birthday, I noticed a difference. It began subtly. At first, it was just a gentle tug at my breath after climbing a slight hill or a longer route to the post office. Then, as time passed, I found myself slowing down more often, pausing by the old maple tree, just to enjoy the shade. In truth, I was catching my breath, quietly hoping nobody would notice. If you've ever had that experience, you'll know there's a silent frustration that comes with it. You may feel disappointed in your body, or a little embarrassed if someone asks, "Are you all right?" Even when you desperately want to keep up. Sometimes, you might decide it's just not worth the trouble. Maybe you start taking the shorter path or avoiding the walks you once loved altogether. It's so easy for these little choices to pile up, until one day you realize you've become a spectator in your own life, watching the world pass by your window rather than joining in. For me, it all changed one afternoon when my grandson, Ethan, asked if I'd like to walk with him to the corner store for ice cream. The air was crisp, the sky was blue, and the joy in his voice was contagious. At first, I hesitated. I worried about holding him back, about getting winded. But I didn't want to say no. So off we went, his small hand in mine. He tugged me forward, eager to race, and I tried my best to keep up. But by the time we reached the store, I was short of breath and my heart thumped loudly in my chest. I saw the concern on Ethan's face and realized how much I'd been denying, not just to others, but to myself. That night, I sat with my memories, recalling the long walks I used to take with my father, the brisk pace, the stories we'd tell with each step. I knew I didn't want to let go of those moments. Not for myself, and not for Ethan. So I made a decision. I would do what I could to regain my brisk stride, one small step at a time. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The next morning, instead of taking the easy path around the block, I set a simple goal. Walk to the mailbox and back, just a little faster than usual. It wasn't much, but I felt my heart flutter with a mix of nervousness and hope. I focused on my breath, steady in, steady out, finding a rhythm that was comfortable yet challenging. Day by day, I stretched my distance. Some mornings, I felt light and steady. Others I had to pause, leaning on the fence and watching the world spin by. But I kept going, and with each walk, my stamina grew a little stronger. Soon, I discovered the magic wasn't in speed alone, but in the freedom it brought. Walking briskly became my quiet rebellion against the passage of time, my way of saying, I'm still here. I still belong in this world of movement and laughter and possibility. It wasn't just about exercise, it was about reclaiming the simple joys. Meeting a friend on the sidewalk, joining the family on an outing, chasing after Ethan without fear. Along the way, I met others on the same journey. My neighbor Thomas, who'd once been a marathon runner, now took pride in walking briskly to the community garden and back. We shared tips, encouragement, and the occasional challenge to see who could reach the corner first, always with a smile, always with a laugh. We celebrated each other's progress, and even the slow days became part of the story. If you find yourself pausing more often or worrying about losing your breath, remember that it's not a defeat, it's simply a sign that your body is asking for attention. Start where you are, even if it's just a few extra steps each day. Focus on your breath, lift your head high, and let your stride remind you of the strength still inside you. With patience, consistency, and a little self-kindness, you may surprise yourself with how far you can go. Walking briskly isn't just about the pace. It's about keeping pace with life, refusing to let age define your boundaries. Each step is an act of hope, a promise that you're not done living, not done dreaming, not done connecting with the world around you. And that, my friend, is a victory worth celebrating every single day. 3. Balance on one foot for at least 10 seconds. There's something almost playful about the idea of standing on one foot. It brings back memories of childhood, playing hopscotch, daring each other to balance on the curb, or trying to reach the highest apple on a tree without falling over. As kids, balance just happens. We wobble, laugh, and catch ourselves without a second thought. But as we age, balance can quietly slip away, often without warning, until one day we realize that standing on one foot isn't just a game anymore. It's a real test of our body's resilience. For me, that realization came in the most ordinary of moments. I was brushing my teeth, thinking about what to have for breakfast, when I noticed I was leaning hard against the bathroom sink. I tried lifting one foot, just to see if I could stand tall, but within seconds, my body swayed and my hand shot out to grab the edge of the counter. A small thing, perhaps, but it left me unsettled. When did I start needing support for something so simple? That question lingered with me throughout the day. I thought of my mother, who used to stand on one leg like a flamingo when she cooked at the stove, humming softly to herself. She always seemed so sure-footed, even well into her 70s. It was only much later that I realized her confidence came not just from strength, but from a lifetime of trusting her own body. Losing that trust, even for a moment, can be a quiet kind of heartbreak. As days passed, I started to notice all the small ways balance matters. Stepping into the shower, reaching for a book on a high shelf, turning to greet a friend at the door. When our balance falters, it isn't just about the risk of falling, though that's serious enough. It's about how we move through the world, how much we dare to participate in life. I began to understand why so many of my friends hesitated to walk on uneven ground. or why some avoided stairs altogether. Losing balance steals more than just our stability. It can steal our confidence, our spontaneity, our joy. But I also learned something hopeful. Balance can be rebuilt. Not overnight, and not without effort, but with patience, practice, and a bit of good humor. I started small, making it a ritual to stand on one foot while brushing my teeth each morning. At first, I wobbled so much I could barely count to 3 before grabbing the sink. But I kept at it, even on the days I felt foolish or frustrated. I'd steady myself with a fingertip on the counter, lift my foot just a few inches, and breathe deeply. Sometimes, I'd catch my reflection and smile at the determined look on my face. Over time, something remarkable happened. I noticed my ankles feeling stronger, my posture a little taller. I began to trust my body again. That trust spilled into other parts of my life. I felt steadier stepping off the curb, more sure-footed carrying groceries, and, most importantly, less afraid of falling. The anxiety that had crept into my daily routines started to melt away. My neighbor, Caroline, shared a similar story. She had always loved gardening, but after a small tumble in her backyard, she'd become wary of uneven ground. One afternoon, over iced tea, I told her about my balance routine. We decided to practice together, cheering each other on as we stood, sometimes laughing until we nearly toppled over. The laughter itself became part of the healing, proof that regaining balance didn't have to be grim or lonely. Week by week, both of us improved. 10 seconds became 15. Soon, we challenged each other to balance with our eyes closed, or to hold a conversation while standing on one foot. Each tiny victory was cause for celebration, a reminder that we still had agency over our bodies, even as the years marched on. If you're reading this and thinking, that sounds like a small thing, let me assure you, it isn't. The ability to balance on one foot for 10 seconds is a powerful sign that your muscles, nerves, vision, and brain are working in harmony. It's a skill that protects you from falls, keeps you independent, and lets you move confidently through life's unpredictable moments. So try it today. Stand near a sturdy surface, lift one foot, and see how long you can hold it. Start with a few seconds, celebrate your progress, and build from there. Let each attempt be a declaration. You're not giving in to time, you're choosing to stay present, strong, and playful. Balance isn't just about standing still. It's about living fully, knowing that even when you wobble, you have the power to steady yourself and keep moving forward. That's a lesson worth practicing at any age, and a gift you deserve. 4. Get down on the floor and stand back up without help. There's a simple sort of dignity in being able to get down on the floor and, just as importantly, get back up again without anyone's help. For much of our lives, it's something we do without thinking. A casual act, a moment of play, a stretch to reach something that's rolled beneath the sofa, or a gentle sprawl with grandchildren on the living room carpet. But for many of us, as we grow older, the floor slowly transforms from a familiar space of activity and joy into a place of quiet uncertainty, even a source of fear. The truth is, I hadn't given much thought to this ability until the day it quietly slipped away from me. It happened on a lazy Sunday afternoon. My granddaughter, Sophie, had scattered her puzzle pieces across the living room rug, her laughter bubbling up as she beckoned, "Grandpa, come help me find the corners." Without hesitation, I started to kneel beside her, only to discover my body hesitated, stiff and unsure. My knees resisted, my back ached, and I felt the sharp sting of self-doubt. I managed to get down eventually, but as I looked at Sophie's bright face, I was already worrying about how I would get up again when the game was done. That moment lingered with me long after the puzzle was finished. I realized I'd begun avoiding situations that required me to sit on the floor or bend too far. I told myself I was just getting older, that it was normal to pass over certain activities. But deep down, I felt a small ache of loss. It wasn't just about getting down and up. It was about the freedom to say yes to life's little invitations, to be present and playful without hesitation or worry. You see, being able to get down on the floor and rise again is about so much more than muscle strength or flexibility. It's a sign that your body's many systems, legs, core, arms, balance, and coordination, are all still working together in harmony. It's about confidence, independence, and the ability to trust your movement. For many older adults, the fear isn't just about falling, but about not being able to get back up if you do. That quiet worry can begin to shape your daily choices, sometimes in ways you don't even notice. After that afternoon with Sophie, I made a promise to myself. I wanted to be the grandparent who could say yes, who could sit on the floor, play, and join in without hesitation. But I knew I couldn't just wish for it. I had to gently work for it. I started small, kneeling beside my bed each morning, holding onto the mattress as I lowered myself down, then using my strength to stand again. At first, my movements were stiff and awkward. There were mornings when my knees creaked and my arms trembled, but each time I managed to stand again, I felt a little spark of hope returning. I learned to listen to my body, to move slowly, to breathe deeply, and to celebrate the little improvements. I'd practice squatting, holding the position for a few seconds, then rising without grabbing anything for support. It wasn't glamorous, and sometimes I felt a bit silly, but gradually, my body remembered how to move more freely. My legs grew steadier, my confidence stronger. I felt the old anxiety melting away, replaced by a quiet pride. My neighbor George, a few years older than me, shared his own story. He had avoided playing with his great-grandson on the floor for years, worried he wouldn't be able to get back up. One day, inspired by a video he saw, he started practicing in private, kneeling and standing, sometimes only halfway at first. When he finally surprised his family by sitting down to play trains on the carpet and then standing up on his own, there were tears of joy in everyone's eyes. It wasn't just a personal victory. It was a celebration of connection, of not letting age draw unnecessary boundaries around the heart. If you find yourself hesitating, fearing the floor as if it's become an unfamiliar land, please know you're not alone, and it's never too late to regain what you've lost. Start gently, use the bed or a sturdy chair for support, and don't rush. Each time you practice, you're not only strengthening your body, you're reclaiming your independence and your place in the world of play, love, and laughter. Being able to get down on the floor and stand back up is more than a movement. It's an act of faith in yourself, a statement that says, I'm still part of life's adventure. Every time you rise, you remind yourself, and those who love you, that you are capable, resilient, and full of possibility. Never let anyone tell you otherwise, least of all the quiet voice of doubt. The floor is still your friend, and so is your own amazing body. 5. Carry a full grocery bag without struggling. Carrying a full grocery bag may seem like a small thing, something so ordinary that we hardly give it a thought. Yet, for many of us, this simple act is loaded with meaning. It's not just about picking up milk and apples. It's a quiet declaration of strength, self-reliance, and dignity. The day you struggle to carry your groceries, it can feel like the world is quietly shifting beneath your feet. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I remember when I first noticed the change. It happened on a regular Thursday, the kind of day when routines are almost automatic. I had just finished shopping at the local store, filling my usual canvas bag with bread, fresh vegetables, a carton of eggs, and some oranges. I made my way to the car, keys in one hand, groceries in the other. As I started to lift the bag, I felt a jolt of surprise. It was heavier than I remembered. My arm trembled slightly, and halfway across the parking lot, I had to stop and set the bag down. I told myself it was just a fluke. Maybe I'd packed more than usual, or perhaps I was a little tired from not sleeping well the night before. But that moment stuck with me. At home, I realized I'd begun to compensate in subtle ways, splitting the groceries into lighter loads, leaning on the car for balance, even waiting for a neighbor to walk by so I could casually ask for help without admitting I needed it. I remembered my mother in her later years, watching as she quietly struggled with shopping bags, how I'd always insisted on carrying them for her. Now here I was, standing in her shoes. There's a tenderness in this realization, a mix of humility, frustration, and acceptance. It's never easy to admit that your body is changing. Our hands, arms, and shoulders that once lifted grandchildren or lugged picnic baskets now protest beneath the weight of everyday necessities. Even your grip can feel weaker, making the handles of a bag dig uncomfortably into your fingers. The loss is not just physical. It's emotional, too. It can feel like a bit of your independence has slipped quietly out the door. Yet, there is hope, and more strength left in you than you might realize. I found this out not from a doctor or a fitness guru, but from Charles, my old friend and neighbor. Charles was the kind of man who prided himself on carrying every grocery bag in a single trip, never mind how heavy. But one afternoon, as I watched him slowly haul his bags up the front steps, I noticed he paused halfway, setting them down to catch his breath. He didn't look frustrated, just thoughtful. That evening over coffee, he shared a secret with me. I started practicing little exercises at home. Just 5 minutes a day. Squeezing a tennis ball for grip, lifting some soup cans, and doing wall push-ups. I figured if I can't carry my groceries, what's the point? There was a twinkle in his eye as he said it, the kind that only comes from someone who's decided not to give up. Inspired, I decided to follow his example. I began to squeeze a small rubber ball while watching television, noticing how even a few minutes a day seemed to make my hands feel stronger. I set a couple of light dumbbells by the kitchen counter and, before starting dinner, would do a few simple curls or presses. Sometimes I'd walk around the house with a grocery bag loaded with towels just to mimic the real thing. Bit by bit, the shakes in my arms lessened, my back stood a little straighter, and my grip felt surer. What surprised me most was not just the improvement in my strength, but the change in my attitude. I began to look forward to shopping trips as a chance to test myself. There was a private satisfaction in carrying that bag from the store to my car without a pause, in swinging it up onto the kitchen counter at home. It wasn't just about food, it was about holding onto my independence and pride. Carrying a full grocery bag isn't just a chore, it's a symbol. It means you're still living life on your terms. It means you can nurture yourself, care for others, and participate fully in the rhythms of daily life. If you find yourself struggling, don't let shame keep you from taking small steps. Strength can be rebuilt, sometimes in the most unexpected ways, with the smallest of efforts. So, the next time you lift that bag, remember, you're not just carrying groceries. You're carrying your story, your dignity, your quiet determination to keep going. Every pound is proof that you're still capable, still here, still strong. That's worth more than anything you can put in a bag. 6. Climb a flight of stairs without stopping. Climbing a flight of stairs, something so ordinary for most people, can quietly become one of the most honest tests of our strength, stamina, and spirit as we age. When you're young, stairs are just stairs. You step up, one after another, maybe even two at a time, barely noticing the effort. But for many seniors, those same stairs can feel like a mountain, each step a small battle against breathlessness, aching muscles, or fear of losing balance. I remember when I could climb stairs without thinking twice. Even into my 70s, I'd bounce up the steps of my favorite bookstore or the stairs in my daughter's house without pause. I'd feel a rush of energy, a quiet pride in the rhythm of my breath and the power in my legs. But after I turned 80, I noticed a change creeping in. What once was effortless started to slow down. I'd pause halfway, gripping the railing, heart pounding and lungs gasping for air. It was a humbling moment, one that whispered to me that time was catching up. That moment lingered, haunting me during everyday activities. I found myself taking elevators more often, avoiding stairs at restaurants, or asking others to carry bags upstairs. It was frustrating, not just physically, but emotionally. I felt a loss of freedom, a shrinking of my world, and most painfully, a quiet worry about what was coming next. One day, my granddaughter invited me to her new apartment, on the 3rd floor. I hesitated at the bottom of the stairs, my mind racing with doubts. I didn't want to disappoint her or miss out on a chance to spend time together. So, I took a deep breath and began climbing. Each step was slow, deliberate. Halfway up, I stopped, heart racing, palms sweaty. But I didn't give up. I rested briefly, then continued. When I finally reached her door, her smile was the sweetest reward, and I felt a flicker of pride. I wanted to get stronger, not just for me, but for moments like that. That day marked a turning point. I began to see stairs not as obstacles but as opportunities, chances to rebuild my strength and stamina, to reclaim my independence. I started small, 3 steps up and down near my bed, holding the railing for support. Some days were easier than others. Some mornings, my legs felt heavy, my breath shallow. But I kept going, reminding myself that progress isn't always a straight line. Slowly, those 3 steps turned into 5, then 10. I practiced breathing deeply, steadying my heart with calm, focused breaths. I imagined the strength returning to my legs, the oxygen filling my lungs. I told myself that every step was a victory, a step away from fear and toward freedom. Along the way, I met Dorothy, an 82-year-old neighbor who'd faced her battles with stairs. After a minor fall 2 years earlier, she'd stopped using stairs entirely, opting for elevators and avoiding her upstairs bedroom. Hearing her story, I invited her to join my morning practice sessions. Together, we held onto the railing, counting steps and encouraging each other. Sometimes we laughed at our wobbly legs. Sometimes we shared stories of past adventures. The camaraderie was healing in itself. With time, Dorothy found her endurance returning. She told me how climbing stairs again wasn't just a physical achievement. It restored her confidence and pride. She said it felt like reclaiming a piece of herself she thought she'd lost forever. If you're reading this and feel a flutter of fear at the thought of climbing stairs, know that you're not alone. That fear is natural, but doesn't have to define you. Start small, listen to your body, and don't be afraid to lean on a railing or a loved one when needed. Every step forward, no matter how slow, is a step toward strength and independence. Climbing stairs is more than a test of your muscles or lungs. It's a conversation between your body and gravity, a dance that requires power, balance, and steady breath. When you conquer those steps, you're proving to yourself that age doesn't have to slow you down. So next time you face a flight of stairs, take a moment. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and take the first step with courage. Celebrate each one that follows. Because every step you climb is a testament to your resilience, your spirit, and your unwavering determination to live life fully, one step at a time. 7. Remember recent conversations and events clearly. Memory. It's one of those mysterious treasures we often take for granted until it starts to slip through our fingers. Remembering the details of a recent conversation, recalling what you had for dinner last night, or sharing a laugh about a story told just days before. These moments weave the fabric of our daily lives and our connections with others. But as we age, the clarity of those memories can begin to fade, sometimes gently, sometimes more sharply, and with that fading comes a quiet fear. I recall a morning not so long ago when I sat with my cup of coffee, trying to recall a conversation I'd had with a dear friend the day before. The words felt just out of reach, like a tune you know but can't quite hum. That fleeting frustration, that momentary blank, sparked a pang of worry. Was I losing my sharpness? Was this the start of something more serious? I know many of us have felt this way, the small forgetfulnesses that tiptoe into our lives, casting shadows of doubt. It's a deeply personal struggle because memory isn't just about facts or dates, it's about identity. It's how we hold on to our stories, our relationships, and our sense of self. Losing clear memory can feel like losing a part of who we are, a part that connects our past, present, and future in a seamless thread. For some, it's an occasional lapse, a misplaced set of keys or a forgotten name. For others, it's more persistent, a cloud that threatens to dim the vibrant light of life. But here's the truth I want you to hold close. Clarity of memory can be nurtured and strengthened, even after 80. Our brains are incredibly resilient, capable of growth and adaptation far beyond what many imagine. The key lies in keeping the mind active, curious, and engaged, just like a muscle that needs exercise to stay strong. I met Edward, an 84-year-old gentleman from Los Angeles, whose sharp mind defied his age. Edward could recall birthdays, old addresses, and classmates' names from decades ago with ease. When I asked him how he kept his memory so clear, he smiled and said, "I never stop learning. I read, I write, I talk to people. My mind is always busy." His secret wasn't some miracle pill or fancy technique. It was a commitment to staying mentally active and curious every day. Inspired by Edward, I began to weave brain exercises into my daily routine. I started with simple things: reading the morning paper, jotting down thoughts in a journal, and engaging in word puzzles or trivia games. I found joy in conversations with family and friends, savoring stories and asking questions to deepen my understanding. These activities felt less like chores and more like invitations to keep my mind vibrant and alive. One afternoon, while reminiscing with a close friend about a family reunion, I was amazed at how much detail we could both recall. The laughter, the food, even the weather. It was a vivid reminder that memory is often about connection, about the emotions tied to our experiences. The more we engage emotionally and socially, the stronger those memories become. If you find yourself struggling with recent memories, don't despair. Start small. Practice recalling the events of your day before bed, talk about your experiences with loved ones, or try learning something new. A recipe, a hobby, or a language. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge, and every little effort helps build resilience. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Remembering clearly isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up fully in your own life and the lives of those around you. Every story you share, every name you recall, every moment you treasure is a celebration of your mind's incredible power. So, when you think back to yesterday's conversation or the book you finished last week, smile at your mind's effort. Celebrate the strength that keeps you alert, connected, and engaged. Because clear memory is more than a gift. It's a bridge to the life you've lived and the future you continue to create. 8. Wake up refreshed after a good night's sleep. Waking up feeling refreshed, that pure, gentle sense of clarity and energy the moment your eyes open, is something many of us once took for granted. It was the natural start to each day, a quiet renewal that set the tone for everything to come. But as the years pass, a good night's sleep can become elusive, replaced by restless tossing, early awakenings, or the groggy haze of unrefreshing rest. For many older adults, this change isn't just inconvenient. It chips away at vitality, mood, and even overall health. I remember waking up some mornings feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My body ached, my mind foggy, and even the simplest tasks felt like climbing a mountain. There were days when I found myself reaching for a nap or needing multiple cups of coffee just to keep going. It was frustrating, and sometimes even frightening, to realize that sleep, the thing meant to restore us, was no longer doing its job. You're not alone if this sounds familiar. Sleep patterns shift as we age. Our bodies produce less melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate our sleep cycles. We may spend less time in the deep, restorative stages of sleep. And conditions like pain, medications, or anxiety can make it harder to stay asleep through the night. But the good news is, a restful night's sleep can be within reach again, and it doesn't always require medication or drastic measures. Take Grace, for example. An 86-year-old neighbor who struggled with waking up groggy and exhausted for months. After countless doctor visits and tests, she was told there was no obvious cause. Feeling discouraged, she decided to try simple changes herself. Dimming the lights an hour before bedtime, turning off the TV earlier, and opening the curtains each morning to welcome natural light. Within just 2 weeks, Grace noticed a difference. She woke feeling clearer, her mood lifted, and her energy improved. She no longer needed those daytime naps, and even her memory seemed sharper. This story is a reminder that sometimes, it's the little habits that can make the biggest impact. Keeping a regular sleep schedule, creating a cool and dark environment, and minimizing screen time before bed are all gentle ways to signal to your body that it's time to rest and heal. The bedroom becomes a sanctuary, a place where your body knows to slow down and recharge. Waking up refreshed isn't just about feeling rested. It's about what happens inside your body while you sleep. Sleep is when your brain clears away toxins, when your immune system strengthens, and when your muscles and tissues repair themselves. Without good sleep, the risks for heart disease, memory loss, depression, and inflammation rise. But with it, aging slows, health improves, and your spirit can feel lighter. If you find yourself struggling to fall asleep or waking frequently, don't lose hope. Small changes can pave the way to better rest. Try setting a bedtime routine that soothes your mind, a warm bath, gentle music, or quiet reading. Avoid caffeine and heavy meals late in the day. Keep your bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit and make it as dark as possible. These simple adjustments create the perfect conditions for deep, healing sleep. Waking up refreshed is a gift, one that can transform your days, your outlook, and your quality of life. It's a sign your body is still strong, your mind still clear, and your heart ready to embrace whatever the day brings. Imagine greeting each morning with energy and peace, ready to live fully, laugh freely, and connect deeply. So tonight, as you prepare for bed, remember that sleep is your body's natural healer. Permit yourself to rest fully, and trust that with patience and care, those refreshing mornings can return. Because you deserve to wake up each day feeling renewed, vibrant, and alive, ready to write the next beautiful chapter of your life. Thank you for staying with me through this journey of discovering the 8 powerful signs that show you're aging backwards. It's not just about ticking boxes or reaching milestones. It's about reclaiming your strength, your independence, and the joy that comes from knowing your body and mind can still surprise you. Every step you take to stand up without help, to walk briskly, to balance on one foot, or simply to wake up refreshed is a quiet victory worth celebrating. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up or slowing down. It can mean growing stronger, wiser, and more connected to yourself and those you love. If you noticed even one of these abilities still shines in you, or if you felt inspired to work on any of them, that's a beautiful sign. It means you're still capable of so much, and there's still so much life ahead. Remember, it's never too late to start. Awareness is the first step, and every small effort builds momentum. Your body is resilient, your spirit is strong, and your story isn't finished yet. I invite you to share in the comments which ability you're most proud of or which one you're excited to improve. Your experience might be the encouragement someone else needs today. If this video touched your heart or helped you see your strength, please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep supporting each other on this path. Because together, we're proving that aging backwards is not just possible. It's a journey worth embracing with hope, courage, and kindness.